All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good day to you, wherever you are in the world, joining us for this week's Smrt class. Of course, my name is Abby, and this is beginning intermediate English with, once again, the Smrt curriculum, and coming to you live from SCEL, the Spokane College of English Language. All right, just checking real quick. As always, I want to make sure that everyone can hear me okay. So looking over in the comment box, let me know. Good morning. Good morning. All right, so you guys can all hear me all right. Wonderful. Okay. Well, first, I wanted to address a couple questions that I got earlier in our live chat from Nandish. His questions were, and my apologies, Nandish, that I can't get to all of them because you had a whole wonderful list of some really great questions. So I just chose the top 4 that I thought would be most helpful for everyone at large. So Nandish asked, what is the difference between clever and intelligent? And those two words are adjectives. So they're words that we would use to describe someone. And once more, it was clever and intelligent. Now, I think a lot of times, or many times, we can use those two words interchangeably. That, of course, we call synonyms. So synonyms are two different words that can be used in the same way. So a nice way to remember that is synonyms sounds a little bit like same. So with clever and intelligent, there's a lot of times, perhaps most times, that they could be used synonymously. The one difference might be that intelligent or intelligence is more academic, so more relating to school and the learning, and clever is just kind of someone is tricky or has a quick mind, or we would say is quick-witted. So usually we would think of that with jokes or remarks. So the difference between clever and intelligent. All right. Jundi asks, intelligence is on a higher scale? I would say, once again, that intelligence, in a lot of ways, intelligence can be learned. So once more, when I mentioned that it could be tied to academics or academia, which is school and learning, and clever is someone that is quick-witted. Again, using these adjectives that we might describe quick-witted, comes up with funny jokes, so that I don't know that intelligence is necessarily, again, my apologies. The comment's already gone in our live feed. We have so many wonderful students and it moves so fast. My apologies. But I don't know that I would say that intelligence is necessarily better. It's just a little bit different. But again, I think more times than not, these two words, clever and intelligent, could be used synonymously. Great question and great comments. The next question is, what is the difference between hope and wish? And these two words, we know in English there's a lot of times that words can be more than just one part of speech. Hope and wish can both be a noun, like I have a hope to see my family, or a verb, I hope to see my family, or I wish you well, and my wish for you is to be well. So those two words definitely could be used synonymously, and that's hope and wish. They can be both nouns and verbs. Then we have good and well that Nandish asked about. What are the difference between those? I say the easiest way to remember that is something or someone is good. The food is good. And well goes with our verb, goes with actions. Okay, so the food is good. My mother cooks very well. So they both mean the same. They're both positive. It's just that good would be connected to describing something. Once more, the food is good. Well would be with the action, with the verb. The food is good. My mother cooks very well. 1 second, I'm going to go look over at our comments. All right. Oh, bonjour, bonjour, the French Leo. All right, and then lastly, for our friend Nandish, and again, apologies that I can't get to all of your questions, but I wanted once more just to answer the top 4 that I thought would be most helpful for class at large. And that is the question, what's the difference between difficult and hard? Those 2 words definitely are synonyms. We can use those interchangeably. If something is difficult, something is hard. Okay, so real quick with those. Nandish, I hope that was helpful. Everyone else, I hope that was helpful as well, that you were able to get a little bit from that. And, what is the difference between handsome and beautiful? The only difference between handsome and beautiful is that we would usually use handsome to describe men and beautiful to describe women if we're using them as adjectives for speaking about people. But we would also say that maybe a view or a city or a country is beautiful as well. Whereas with handsome, again, we would only really use that to describe a good-looking man in the same way that we would describe a good-looking woman perhaps as beautiful or pretty. And again, we could also use beautiful, which is an adjective, to describe a place or to describe something. So that's the difference between beautiful and handsome. Once more, I want to look over at our comments. And as always, my apologies if you ask a question or you have a comment and I'm not able to get to it. Again, doing this in live time, our great live chat just moves so fast and there's so many great questions and comments that I'm not able to always get to all of them. So my apologies. With that, it's a great reason if you are interested to become a premium subscriber with Smrt, and that just gives you access. You and I can have dialogue or talk, and you can email me or ask these questions, and I can make sure that I get you the answers later. So if you are interested in that, scroll to the bottom of the video once we have this fully posted. And while you're there, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. As promised, we are going to continue with our vocabulary. Okay, wonderful. So once more, we are in Unit 6 vocabulary, and this is dealing largely, not exclusively, so not only, but largely this vocabulary is dealing with animals or the natural world. So reviewing our words real quick, or the ones that we went over last week, just reviewing them quickly for pronunciation. And there we go. So adopt, agree, army, available, bite, boat, breathe, catch, colorful, contest. And now, starting with this week's words, control. Give me one moment. I'm going to check over in our comments. Great. All right, so control. And here we see a picture of a dog that doesn't look like his owners probably have much control. In fact, the sentence as an example is, we can't or we cannot control our dog. He does what he wants. So control, once more, we know that in English, there are many examples where words can be more than one part of speech, depending on how we're using them. So control can be a noun, a thing, and that is the power or the ability to influence or to direct behavior, so people or animals or events. So that would be control when we use it as a noun. When we use it as a verb, we would say that that is to determine the behavior or to supervise. Now, I think a lot of times, at least for my students, I find that really giving an example instead of just explaining maybe the definition of the word, giving that example is a lot easier, or my students find it an easier way to learn. So with that, here is my example of control used as a noun. So it is the teacher's job to have control over the classroom. All right, we know that a teacher, it's their job to direct the class. It's their job to have control over the classroom. And that's control when we use it as a noun. Now, when we use control as a verb, we would say a teacher must control their classroom. So in both ways, we're talking about having the power or having the influence to direct or to determine people's actions or outcomes or events. So control. All right, 1 second, checking over in the comment box. Great. So Jindy says, I can't control my mind. I'm always thinking about her. Correct, that's a great example. So I can't control my mind. Okay, I can't direct my mind. I'm always thinking about her. Great example. All right, continuing on. So danger. That just means that something or someone even, it's not safe. So danger would be our noun, like you are in danger. Dangerous would be our adjective. So we would say it's dangerous to go rock climbing, but it's a lot of fun. In the same way, we could say there's a lot of danger in the sport of rock climbing, but it's a lot of fun. So with our example here, danger, you are safe here. There is no danger. So it's not uncommon for people to be nervous or upset about flying, because of course we can understand that being up in the air, high above the earth, seems very dangerous. But if we are looking at the statistics or the numbers, we know that driving a car, you come across more dangerous situations, or there's more danger in driving a car than there is riding in an airplane. So with that, you're in less danger in an airplane than you are driving a car. Give me a second. I'm going to check over on our live comment feed. All right, great. Continuing on. So danger. Dear. Now, because I always tell my students, English is crazy. There's a lot of ways that English is crazy. Here's an example of that. Deer, D-E-E-R, we're talking about the animal. And that's not to be confused with deer, as in D-E-A-R, and that's a very popular way to start a letter or an email. Dear so-and-so. In fact, there is a very, very famous advice columnist named Dear Abby, or her section is called Dear Abby. Now, what's an advice columnist? That's just in American newspapers or magazines where it's someone that people write to with their questions, and that person answers their questions. So it could be any kind of question, usually regarding life or relationships. So the most famous advice columnist is called Dear Abby. So a lot of times when people meet me, because of course my name is Abby, they're like, oh, Dear Abby. Yeah, I've never heard that one before. But that is deer as in D-E-A-R, not to be confused with deer with a double E, which is the animal that we see here in our example. So of course that would be a noun. And our example sentence, the men are hunting for deer in the forest. There's our picture of the deer. All right. Great. Oh no. Oh no. I'm so sorry. Thank you, French Leo. He just pointed out that I wasn't on screen. I get so excited about vocabulary and teaching that my apologies. I didn't realize that I didn't have the screen up correctly. Ugh. I did tell you that it's early morning here in Spokane, right? I think I probably need more coffee. Thank you, Leo. So continuing on. So dear. Depend on. Now, this is interesting again because we can use this in two main ways. The first way, we would say we can depend on people, or you can depend on me. I'm so glad that I can depend on you. That means like trust, or put your trust in someone. Now, for our purposes and our vocabulary, when we talk about depend on, our example is, I don't know what I will do tomorrow. It depends on the weather. So that means it's contingent on, there's a big word for you, contingent on, it depends on, it will be influenced by what the weather is like. So perhaps if it's sunny, if it's a nice day, I'll go for a walk in the park. If the weather is raining, or this morning when I was coming to school, we were starting to even get a little bit of snow. So depending on the weather, I might go walk in the park if it's sunny, or I might go to a coffee shop and read if it's snowing. It just depends on, so it's contingent on, or it is influenced by the weather. Okay? Looking over at our comments again. All right. Great. So depend on. And again, you don't need to know this for our vocabulary, but just for extra information, we would also say when we're speaking about people or we're speaking about ourselves, you can depend on me. I'm so glad I can depend on you, which just means I'm trustworthy. You can put your trust in me. I won't let you down. All right, dirt. So dirt is a noun. Please take your shoes off. I don't want any dirt in my house. So if you can see the picture or the illustration here on these shoes, of course, they have dirt on them. So dirt is from the ground, from outside. Now, I'm going to guess that someone's going to ask, what's the difference between dirt and mud? Okay? The difference between dirt and mud is mud, M-U-D, is just dirt that's mixed with water. So dirt, depending on where you are in the world, it can be very dusty, it can be very thick, but in a lot of places around the world, there's the request to take your shoes off when you come into a house because you don't want to walk in and bring dirt into the house. So again, if you can see our illustration, these shoes have dirt on them. Jundi asked, what is the difference between depend on and count on? The difference between that, when we're speaking about the weather, so what I'll do tomorrow, I'm not sure. It depends on the weather. That's used as depend on. But again, when we're talking about people and you can depend on me or you can count on me, that way they mean the exact same thing. Great question. Okay. Right. Continuing on. Endangered. So we see here 2 koala bears, and they are, we would say, endangered species or endangered animals. Now, a lot of times in English, if you're looking at a word and you're not quite sure what it means or you can't quite remember, Sometimes if you break the word down, there's little hints that can help you. What I mean by that is when we look at the word endangered, we see the word danger that we know we just went over. That means unsafe, okay? So endangered, again, we talk about that, or we use endangered when we're talking about something within the natural world. So plants, animals. Koala bears. Koala bears are endangered now. We must protect them. So what that means is that there are very few koala bears left in the world. For whatever reason, many of them have died or are no longer around. And within the natural world, we know that it's good to have a balance. So if koala bears or any animals or species, so plants included, are endangered, that means that they are at risk for going extinct. So to be extinct or to go extinct means no more. So if the koala bears, they're endangered, if they go extinct, it means we don't have any more koala bears in the world. And that would certainly be very sad. So when a species or an animal is endangered, we must protect them. Looking over at the comments, yes, the koala bears are very cute. All right, continuing on to our next word, enough. Enough. I don't have enough room. Can you please give me more space? So enough means an adequate amount or a good amount. In this picture, we're talking about room or space. So clearly on this bus or on this train, there's a lot of people. There's not enough room for everyone. So I don't have enough room. Can you please give me more space? So enough, an adequate amount, okay? A sufficient amount. Okay. So Leo, yes, exactly. So koala bears, they are disappearing. And again, that's not just with koala bears. This morning, I was listening to the world news, and they were talking about some of the panda bears in China and the efforts that they are making to make sure or to try to preserve the panda bears and that species so that they're not endangered and definitely that they don't go extinct. Okay? Right. Farmer. Here's a picture of a very nice looking man. He is a farmer. And that, of course, is a noun. And it's just a person that farms. But not just that farms, but that farming is their profession. So that's what they do for a living. That's what they do for a job. So a little example of that is I grew up on a small farm. Okay? My parents have land, or we would say acreage. In America, land is measured by acres. So we would say acreage or land. And we had lots of animals growing up. So we always raised our own meat. We always had our own chickens and eggs. And we had lots of fruit trees. So in many ways, we didn't have to go to the grocery store all that much because much of what we needed or we wanted to eat, we grew on our farm. Now, the difference with that is my father is not a farmer or my mother even, because women can be farmers too. So neither of my parents are farmers because they didn't have the farm as a place to make money or as their job or profession. We just had land and animals and fruit and gardens on our farm. Whereas a farmer, once more a noun, is a person that farms or who has a farm, and that is their job. That is their profession. Okay. Looking over at the comment section. And again, as always, my apologies if I'm not able to get to all your comments or questions, and they are always so good. It's just that we have specific, so limited amount of time, and really there's so many great comments and questions and the live feed that sometimes it's difficult to catch all of them, but I will certainly try. So looking over. So Leo asks or says, the farmers are people who raise animals for eating. So yes, sometimes, but as we see in our example, there's no animals here. This gentleman, this nice man, he just has a large garden, what looks like lettuce, so lots of salads. So a farmer does not always have to have animals on their farm. It could be a fruit farm or vegetables. As I said last week, interesting fact is that Washington State, where Spokane is located, and the Spokane College of English Language, Washington State is the world's largest producer of apples. So with that, we have more apple farms than most places do, and we are able to produce more apples here on all the farms than any place else in the world. So great observation, Leo. But farms are not always animals. They can be fruits or vegetables as well. Okay. All right, continuing on. Feather. So the feathers of that bird are beautiful, or using one of our vocabulary words, the feathers of that bird are very colorful. Feather is a noun, and it's just what birds have. Okay, so feathers, whereas animals might have fur or hair covering their body, birds, they have feathers that cover their body. Feathers are what their wings are made out of. So the feathers of that bird are beautiful, very colorful. Feather is a noun, and it's what birds are covered in. Okay, continuing on with our vocabulary. Female. So the dog is not male, she's female. So from this example, the dog is not male. So our example is telling us that male and female are opposites. Well, what does that mean? Female is a girl or a woman, or that's sex. So we know that people or animals, they're of one of either sex, either a male or a female. And so female is a girl or a woman, which we know also includes animals. Male, in a different way, that would be a boy or a man or a boy animal. So the dog is not male, she is female. Right? Right. Okay, so Steve asked, Steve asked, you use feathers. With an S, does it have a special meaning? Great question. With an S, going back real quick, feather would be singular, and feathers is plural. So obviously this bird does not just have one feather. That'd be a very unfortunate, sad-looking bird. The bird is covered in many colorful feathers. So when we add an S to feathers, or many words, that makes it plural. So more than just one. Great question, Steve. Thank you so much. Fire department. So fire department, that's a noun. It's a place or it's a thing. Looking at our example, do you smell smoke? Let's call the fire department. So the fire department is just where firefighters are located. If there's a fire or you have an emergency in America, the number that you call is 911. and that connects you to people that can help you take care of an emergency. So they will ask you what the problem is. And if you have a fire, they will call and send out the fire department. So that is a place or a thing. And those nice people are the firefighters that if you have a fire will come put it out. You just call the fire department. All right? Okay, wonderful. Thanks guys for all the great comments. Fur. So as I just said in our example, and when we were talking about feathers, birds are covered in feathers. So again, feathers with an S, more than one, plural, certainly. So birds are covered in feathers, and animals are either covered in hair or fur. So dogs, cats, really they're covered in hair, whereas like a fox or other animals are covered in fur. And it's not as popular anymore because people started saying and thinking and making it known that they disagreed with wearing fur, because fur comes from animals, which means that the animals have to be killed, and then the fur is taken from their bodies to make coats or to make articles of clothing. In fact, that is one of the reasons that some animals or species are endangered, because many of them have been killed for their fur. And as we can see in our example here, the young lady is wearing a fur coat, right? So once more, birds would be covered in feathers. Animals are either covered in hair or covered in fur. Right, so that is a noun. It is a thing. It is what covers the body of animals. Okay. Oh, so the question, what will replace fur? Well, there is, of course, fake fur, or we would say faux, F-A-U-X, kind of interesting spelling. Faux fur or fake fur. So it's man-made, it's not taken from animals, but it looks like fur. And fur it's very warm, okay? It will keep you very warm when you wear it, but of course there's many other ways that you can stay warm, having a nice coat or jacket, and it doesn't have to be made of fur. So that is once more what an animal's body is covered in. And in likewise, a bird's body is covered in feathers. Okay. Emma, hi Abby, hi Emma. So glad you can join us. Okay, goat. When we had goats growing up on our farm, they didn't have big horns like this example in our picture, because this is a mountain goat, so goats that live in mountains versus goats that you would find on farms. But a goat, of course, is a noun. It's just an animal. So many goats live in the mountains. And there's our picture of our goat. Okay, give you a second to take a look at that very nice looking mountain goat. And once more, on our farm growing up, it was a lot of fun because we had many goats. Okay. Serene asked a great question. What is the difference between covered in and covered with? You could use those interchangeably, Serene. Great question. So covered in fur or covered with fur. You could use those interchangeably. Thank you for your question. Very good. And Melinda observed some body wash products, or really just any body products, are made from goat's milk. That is very, very true, because goat's milk, so the milk from goats, is known to be very good on your skin. So with that, you're exactly right that there are many body body products, so lotions or soaps that are made with goat's milk. Great observation, Melinda. Okay. So, continuing on, healthy. Healthy, and again, here's one of those words that if you're not sure exactly what it means, if you look within the word, sometimes you can see another word. Healthy, health. Well, we know health is to not be sick, to be in good health, we'd say is healthy. So healthy would be our adjective. Our example, that food isn't very healthy. You should stop eating it all the time. But what's difficult with that is that it seems to me that a lot of times it's food that's not healthy that tastes the best. I know last week, I believe it was Rosa or Nora, gave the example of pizza. Take a bite of pizza and you will be hooked. Pizza is wonderful food, but it's not always that healthy. Like McDonald's. McDonald's is not healthy food, but it tastes good. So that food isn't very healthy. So healthy. It just means it's not good for your body. It's not good for you. It's not good food. And we know that sometimes it's okay. You can have a balance between healthy and unhealthy food, like birthday cake. Birthday cake's not necessarily healthy, but as long as you're not eating it every day, that's perfectly fine. So having that balance, finding that balance between eating healthy, so eating food that is good for you. All right. Gabrielle, hello, my friend. Is Abby a good cook? Am I a good cook? I actually am. I actually am a good cook. And I think the reason that I'm a good cook is because I like to eat. So, kind of by necessity. So, it's necessary for me to be a good cook or to learn to be a good cook because I like to eat. And I at least try to eat healthy. Right. But no, Gabrielle, I am not a master chef. Okay, great comments, great questions, guys. So yes, Faria Angel, and my apologies as always if I mispronounce names. Fast food. So fast food, yes, usually some of the most famous ones is I've traveled all over or been fortunate to travel to many parts of the world. It seems to me from my observation, so what I've observed, what I've seen is that McDonald's and KFC are the two most popular fast food restaurants from America that are now all over the world. So fast food, we know that it might taste good and it might be convenient. So convenient just means easy. Convenient to get, you don't have to cook it, but it's not always the most healthy food. So absolutely right with that observation that fast food, it's not usually that healthy for you. Oh, Gabrielle, again, here's the question. Do you have Subway food or Subway restaurant in America? We absolutely do. And Subway, that would be the one fast food restaurant that I would say that you can find healthy things on the Subway menu. And if you would ever like to come to Spokane, Washington, I would of course love to meet you in person. And if you tune in for any of our other videos, Joshua and Neil are also located here at the Spokane College of English Language. And we are located in downtown Spokane. So there's many different restaurants. Of course, there's a Starbucks just down the street. And right across from the school, right across the street, is a Subway restaurant. So yes, great observation and comment that I think Subway, in fact, is one of the few fast food restaurants where you can choose to eat healthy. Right. So Melinda asks, I always compliment other people. You're a good cooker. Am I wrong? You would just say you're a good cook. So again, going back to Nadish's original questions, what's the difference between good and well? We use good to describe something or someone. So a good cook, and well with pairing that with actions. So you cook very well. So you wouldn't need to answer your question, Melinda. You would just say good cook. So singular. So it's talking about you. You are one person, so singular. You are a good cook. Great question, Melinda. Thank you. And I hope that was an answer that you easily understood. All right. Continuing on, hit. Don't hit your computer if it's slow. It won't go any faster. So hit is a verb, it is an action. I definitely have wanted to hit my computer or my laptop, even my phone, when it starts going slow or it's not hooking to the internet correctly, whatever. We know that technology sometimes gets very frustrating if, once more, your laptop's not working well, and you might be tempted, so you might want to hit it. Don't hit your computer. Don't hit your laptop. It won't go any faster. So hit is a verb. There you go. I just hit my hand. And as we see in this example, this gentleman, it looks like he's very tempted or he is going to hit his laptop. But that won't help. Mm-hmm. Oh, good. So Melinda said, yes, got it. Wonderful. Yes, Leo, do not kick your PC. It's not going to go any faster. So hit is with our hands. Kick would be with our feet. Great question, or a great comment and observation, Leo. So hit, a verb. Intelligent. Okay? Intelligent. Dogs are usually pretty intelligent animals. Intelligent, and again, Nandish asked this question before, so before the stream started, he sent some questions including what's the difference between clever and intelligent? And my answer was that as they're both adjectives, so describing words, a lot of times clever and intelligent can be used synonymously, so they can be used in the same way. The one little difference is that intelligent or intelligence would be our noun. Sometimes we think of that more as academia, as learning, school, whereas clever, once more, has to do with someone being quick-witted or a quick thinker, perhaps. But with this example, yes, dogs, most dogs are pretty intelligent, so that just means they're smart. We know that dogs, and a lot of animals, in fact, can be taught many different tricks, okay? If you train your dog, if you train your animal, you can get them to do tricks. So like my dog, if I say sit, he will sit down. And then if I put up my hand and I say shake, he'll lift up his paw and shake my hand. Those are tricks, okay, that I've trained him to do or I've taught him to do. And he's able to do them because he is very intelligent. So he's very smart, right? Oh, hello, new friends that are joining us now. Great to see you. Momo, intelligent, clever, wise, smart, absolutely. All of those words can be used synonymously. So once more, we know synonymous, same. All right, we got about 15 minutes left. I'm gonna do a couple more vocabulary words, and then we'll just jump over real quick, do a quick grammar review, and hopefully get to a little bit of this week's grammar, which if we don't finish, We'll, of course, finish next week, so I hope you'll be able to join us. Okay, continuing on. Jungle. Jungle. There are many dangerous, so we know, going back at the beginning of our vocabulary, danger, so unsafe, not safe, and dangerous would be our adjective. There are many dangerous animals in the jungle. So, what is jungle? Jungle is a noun and it's a place. And again, I think sometimes the best way to learn a word, or for me to explain a word here in Smart English, is just for you to look at the example, to look at the picture. And with that, what we are seeing is the jungle and an elephant. So this animal is called an elephant. And looks like a young man or even maybe a boy who is riding the elephant. Now we know that elephants can be dangerous, but elephants are also very intelligent animals. So they can be trained, like this elephant is trained, to actually be ridden. But where do you find elephants? Well, elephants are found both on the continent of Africa and Asia. And Asia, as we know, has a lot of jungles. So does South America. The most famous jungle is the Amazon rainforest, which sadly now, because a lot of farmland or a lot of trees have been cut down for farmland or to raise animals, parts of the Amazon rainforest and animals that live there are now endangered. Okay, so once more, going back to one of our earlier vocabulary words, endangered, in danger of becoming extinct. So once an animal or plant, any kind of species is extinct, it's gone. It's no more. It does not exist anymore on Earth. And so that is one of the reasons that it's very important that we as humans protect the jungle. Okay? But with that, it is true that there are many dangerous animals in the jungle. The elephant is a very intelligent animal, but it can be dangerous. Right. Yes, Leo. Everyone knows that Tarzan lives in the jungle. If you are familiar with Tarzan or the movies or the story of Tarzan, it is a man that lives in the jungle, right? And all of his adventures, right? Great. And we'll do just this last word, land. Land. And if you don't like snakes, I completely understand if you look away from your computer or your laptop right now, because here is a picture of an animal that we call a snake. This snake lives in the water and on land. So land is just the ground, okay? You're either in the water or you're on the ground. You're on land. So there are, in fact, many animals like elephants that can be both on land or, let's go back real quick. As we see in this picture, the elephant is in the water. Elephants can actually swim. They can actually swim very, very well. And elephants can be both in the water or on land. So land is just ground, right? So Anson asked what kind of snake is that? I'm not sure what kind of snake that is. Okay? I don't know a lot about snakes, but do you know that snakes, again, just like elephants, they can live both on land or in the water. So with a snake, you could be swimming and a snake could come up next to you. Or you could just be walking on land, walking through the jungle, And there are many dangerous animals in the jungle, including snakes. But you can find snakes both in the water or on land. Okay? But to what kind of snake that is, I'm not sure. Again, I don't know my snake species very well. All right, yes, and I have actually a few comments over there. I hate snakes. I hate snakes too. I hate snakes as well. Jundi says, my landlord looks like a snake. Hopefully your landlord is not joining us for Smrt English this morning or afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. That's a very funny comment. His landlord looks like a snake. Ugh. But yes, I find what I've observed or what I have found to be true is that people are either afraid of snakes, but they don't mind spiders. So spiders are the little, or people are scared of spiders, but don't mind snakes. I am the latter. So of the two, I am the latter example. I really don't like spiders. So again, spiders, the little insects or animals, 8 legs. I don't like spiders. But snakes, I don't mind snakes. They don't bother me at all. I know that they're dangerous, but the few times that I have been in the jungle, okay, so I spent some time, so very lucky, fortunate to spend some time in Central America, and there are a lot of jungles there. So when I was in the jungle, did have to be careful and aware that there were snakes. Snakes don't bother me, but the spiders, because there are spiders, a lot of times you will find them in the jungle, but thankfully, unless there's a species or a kind that I don't know about, thankfully spiders are only found on land, okay? You'll find spiders on the ground, you will not find them in the water. So I don't know if you guys agree or if you found that to be true as well. People are either afraid of spiders or they're afraid of snakes. Okay. Great. Thanks, guys. Continuing on. Okay, we'll do one more vocabulary word. Leather. Leather is made from cows. So, we have fur. We know that fur comes from animals. Animals are either covered in fur or they are covered in hair. Now, cows are covered in hair, but if the skin is taken off of a cow and the hair is taken off, then we have leather. So in the same way as fur, I personally will not wear fur. I don't want to wear an animal. And in the same way, I don't wear leather. I don't want to wear an animal. So thankfully, faux leather or fake leather. We would say man-made leather. That's also very popular. So true leather, I'm looking at this illustration, this young lady's jacket. So true leather comes from cows. And once more, similar to fur, animals are either covered in hair or fur, birds covered in feathers. And the fur can be taken off an animal to make clothing, coats, and in the same way, leather. But thankfully, there's lots of good fake leather out there that you can choose to wear instead of real leather, because that is the skin of cows. So once more, looking at this example, the young lady is wearing a leather jacket. Right. Momo says cows. I don't get it. Give me 1 second. I will pull up a picture of cows. And we also had cows on our farm growing up. Okay, Momo. to answer your question, here is some pictures of cows. Let me see if I can get a better one up. There you go. And really, there's two types of cows. Within that, there's different breeds, so different kinds of cows, just like with snakes or spiders. There's snake, but then there's different kinds of snakes. So it's the same with cows. There's cows, these animals here, but then there's different kinds of cows. And they're really divided either into milk cows, so we know that milk, cheese, cream, a lot of times it can be from goats, as we observed before, but the most popular, at least in America, is milk or cheese from cows. So cows are either milk cows or they're meat cows. So they're divided, and meat cows are what we get hamburger from, okay? Which hamburger has a lot of protein, but you don't want to eat too much of it because that's not healthy. See how I work that vocabulary word in there? So hamburgers are good and they can be good for you, a lot of protein. Just don't eat too many because that's not really healthy. But Momo, I hope that helped. Or if anyone else had a question, what is a cow? There's your picture of your cows. All right. Great. So again, we just have a couple more minutes, but I want to do some quick review. 4 types of sentences. We've gone over 2 of them so far. The first is our simple sentence, and that is just comprised of or made up of one independent clause, but that must have both a subject and a verb. So who or what we're talking about and what the action is. Now, when we talk about compound sentences, that includes, or compound sentences include 2 independent clauses, right? And let's see, we have a couple minutes. I will just introduce real quick articles and come back next week every Tuesday, 7:30 Pacific Standard Time, so the West Coast of America. We're located in Spokane, Washington. So we'll start articles this week and then continue with them next week. All right, our example here, I think it's a very cute picture. This is George, and I'm going to assume, or I think that probably George is the dog. This is George and Tigger. And I only say that because Tigger is also the name of a very famous children's, if anyone's ever heard of Winnie the Pooh, very famous children's book. And in there, one of the characters is a cat, and his name is Tigger. So I'm gonna guess that George is the dog and Tigger is the cat. So this is George and Tigger. George is the dog, and Tigger is the cat. I was right. So the is our article. So do you like dogs? I love dogs. I have 2 dogs. What about cats? I have 1 cat, and they're all best friends. I love dogs, but I don't like cats. That's true. A lot of people, just like snakes and spiders, like one or don't mind one, or not scared of one, but do not like the other. Okay? A lot of people, we say, are you a dog or are you a cat person? I love dogs, but I don't like cats. In our example, I want a dog, or I want a dog. We can pronounce that either a or a. I want a dog. I don't, or I do not want a cat. All right, so I need to wrap up because I have my class in the next half an hour. And just finishing up this week's edition of Smrt Live, checking over just real quick in the comments. All right, thanks so much, guys, for joining us. Again, if you're interested in becoming a premium subscriber, it just gives you more access to me. We can exchange emails, and if you have any questions, again, as I apologize that I'm not always able to watch the live feed and get to all your comments or questions, if you're a premium subscriber, that enables you to email me and ask questions that you like. Also, it includes the class notes, test quizzes. So if you are interested in being a premium subscriber, scroll to the bottom of the video. And while you're there, if you enjoyed this week's edition of Smrt Live with me, Miss Abby, then please feel free to give a thumbs up. And thanks so much. I saw some of the great comments from last week and weeks past. So thanks so much for those comments. As always, have a wonderful rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, night. Have a good rest of your day wherever you are in the world. And thanks so much for joining. Bye-bye.
Hi everyone. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to our channel. Also, if you want the full experience of being a student in a Smrt Live class with things like homework and teacher feedback, follow the link and become a premium subscriber. Also, if you want to see more videos from this class, check out our playlist.